She is pretty, Daddy. The obese black bride stumbles through the dusty frontier town as cruel laughter erupts from every doorway, her stained wedding dress trailing behind her like a banner of shame. The townsfolk see her as nothing more than an eyesore, too dark, too heavy, too broken for their respectable community. Her fate seems sealed, to be driven out or crushed under the weight of their scorn. But watching from across the street stands a weathered rancher with gentle eyes, his young daughter tugging at his sleeve as she whispers those transformative words about the woman everyone else has dismissed. What they don't know is that this humiliated bride carries secrets that could elevate her from town pariah to the most valuable woman in the territory, if prejudice doesn't destroy her first. Will she find sanctuary with this unlikely family, or will her past catch up to destroy them all? Before we continue, comment where you are tuning in from. Perhaps we will publish a story there. The Arizona sun beat down mercilessly on Bethany Mae Hawkins as she clutched her worn leather satchel. Her wedding dress, once white satin, now bore the stains of 3 weeks on dusty roads. The fabric stretched tight across her full figure as she walked down the main street of Dusty Creek. Whispers followed her every step. A woman swept her children inside as Bethany passed. Men spat tobacco juice and shook their heads. The general store owner pulled down his window shade with a loud snap. Bethany kept her eyes forward. She had traveled 800 miles for the promise of work. The letter in her pocket guaranteed employment at the Silver Dollar Saloon as a seamstress. It was her last hope. The saloon doors swung open as she approached. Jedediah Brown emerged, a thick man with suspicious eyes. His gaze swept over her from head to toe. His lip curled in disgust. "You the one wrote about seamstress work?" "Yes, sir. Bethany Mae Hawkins." Jedediah laughed, a harsh sound that carried down the street. "Look at you."
Braids stood beside him, her hand tucked in his.
"Daddy, why are they being mean to the sad lady?" Wyatt Graves looked down at his daughter Lila. At 8 years old, she saw the world through eyes unclouded by prejudice. He had tried to shield her from such ugliness, but perhaps that was impossible. "Some folks forget their manners, little one." Bethany heard the child's clear voice above the crowd's murmurs. She looked across the street and met the girl's concerned gaze. For a moment, the hatred surrounding her seemed to fade. Jedediah waved his hand dismissively. "Get moving. Find somewhere else to peddle your services." The crowd began to disperse, the entertainment over. Bethany stood alone in the street, tears streaming down her face. She had nowhere to go, no money for passage elsewhere, no family to take her in. She walked slowly to the wooden steps of the general store and sat down heavily. Her body shook with silent sobs. Everything she had worked for, hoped for, lay in ruins at her feet. Footsteps approached. Bethany looked up to see the tall man from across the street. His daughter walked beside him, her small face serious with concern. "Miss, are you hurt?" His voice was gentle, without mockery. Bethany wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "No, sir. Just disappointed." Lila stepped forward, ignoring her father's restraining hand. "You have kind eyes, miss. Are you very sad?" The simple question from an innocent child broke something loose in Bethany's chest. She managed a small smile. "A little sad, sweetheart. But I'll be fine. I'm Lila. This is my daddy, Wyatt Graves. We have a ranch." Wyatt touched his hat brim. "Ma'am, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation with Brown. You're seeking work?" "I was, sir, though I fear my prospects in this town are limited." "What kind of work do you do?" Bethany hesitated. "Offer this to me." "You saw what just happened. I saw ignorance and cruelty. I also see a woman who speaks with education and treats my daughter with kindness." Lila tugged on her father's sleeve. "I like her, Daddy. She has pretty eyes." Wyatt helped Bethany to her feet. "What do you say, Miss Hawkins? Will you come teach at Iron Creek Ranch?" Bethany looked back at the town that had rejected her, then at the man offering her hope. She straightened her shoulders and lifted her chin. "Yes, Mr. Graves. I accept." The wagon rolled through rolling hills dotted with cattle. Bethany sat beside Wyatt, her satchel balanced on her knees. Lila chattered from the back about everything they passed. The girl's excitement was infectious. Iron Creek Ranch spread before them like something from a dream. The main house stood 2 stories tall, painted white with green shutters. Corrals and outbuildings dotted the property. A creek wound through cottonwood trees behind the house. "Your cabin is there." Wyatt pointed to a small structure near the main house. "Built it hoping to find the right teacher someday." The cabin was modest but clean. Inside, Bethany found a bed, desk, washstand, and most surprising of all, shelves lined with books. McGuffey readers, arithmetic texts, geography books, even volumes of poetry. "Been collecting these for 3 years. Wyatt set her satchel on the desk. "Figured any teacher worth hiring would need proper materials." Bethany ran her fingers along the book spines. No one had ever prepared so thoughtfully for her arrival, anywhere. "This is more than adequate, Mr. Graves." "Supper's at 6. Tomorrow you can meet the other children." That evening, Bethany joined the Graves family at their kitchen table. Lila peppered her with questions about school and books, actually excited about school. The children adored her. She never raised her voice or used a switch. When someone struggled, she found new ways to explain until understanding dawned. When they succeeded, her praise made them glow with pride. Lila became Bethany's shadow. The girl helped distribute slate boards and collect papers. She sat in the front row, absorbing every lesson with hungry eyes. "Tell me about Mama," Lila whispered one evening as Bethany tucked her into bed. "What would you like to know?" "Daddy says she was beautiful. Were you friends with her?" "I never met your mama, sweetheart. But I know she loved you very much. Daddy gets sad when he talks about her, but he smiles more now that you're here." Bethany's heart skipped. She had noticed Wyatt's increasing attention, the way he lingered after lessons to discuss the children's progress, how he always found excuses to bring her coffee or check if she needed anything. Their conversations grew longer and more personal. Wyatt told her about his late wife, Emma, who died giving birth to Lila, how he had struggled to be both father and mother to his daughter. "I was a teacher for 5 years before I married," Bethany shared one evening as they watched Lila chase fireflies. "Lost my position when I wed. Married women couldn't hold teaching posts in my town. Seems wasteful. You're the finest educator these children have ever had." My husband understood my disappointment, said maybe someday I'd teach again. Her voice softened. "He was a good man. Died in a mining accident last year." Wyatt studied her profile in the twilight. "I'm sorry for your loss. We had 3 good years together, more than some people get." A comfortable silence stretched between them. Lila ran toward them with cupped hands. "I caught one! Look how it glows!" She opened her palms to reveal a firefly pulsing with gentle light. It flew away into the gathering darkness. "They're wrong. You're not ugly. You're beautiful inside, like Mama was. Your mama must have been very special." She was. Daddy told me she had the biggest heart of anyone he knew. Just like you. That evening, Lila made an announcement at supper. I'm going to call you Miss Pretty from now on. Why is that? Bethany asked, amused. Because you're pretty, like Mama was. Not on the outside where everyone can see. On the inside, where it really matters. Wyatt's fork paused halfway to his mouth. He looked at Bethany with something new in his eyes, something that made her pulse quicken. She is pretty, Daddy, Lila continued matter-of-factly. Pretty and kind and smart. Don't you think so? Wyatt cleared his throat. I think Miss Bethany is very special indeed. Later, as Bethany prepared for bed, she reflected on how dramatically her life had changed. 3 months ago, she had been homeless and hopeless. Now she had meaningful work, a comfortable home, and something she had never dared expect. She had found a family. But even as contentment settled over her, a nagging worry remained. Her past was not entirely buried. Someday, it might catch up with her. For now, though, she was happy. The thunderstorm struck on a Tuesday evening in late September. Lightning split the sky as rain hammered the ranch house windows. Lila burst from her bedroom, tears streaming down her face. The thunder sounds like Mama's accident. Bethany rushed from the kitchen where she had been grading papers. Wyatt appeared from his study at the same moment. Without hesitation, they both reached for the frightened child. Their hands touched as they embraced Lila together. The contact sent electricity through Bethany that had nothing to do with the storm outside. Wyatt's eyes met hers over his daughter's head. Something unspoken passed between them. It's just noise, sweetheart, Bethany whispered. Feelings for you follows proper rules. She fled to her cabin, heart pounding. But sleep eluded her. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face in the firelight. The next morning brought awkward politeness. They spoke only of necessary things. Lila sensed the tension and grew quiet. Her usual chatter during lessons dwindled to whispers. Are you and Daddy fighting? She asked after the other children left. No, sweetheart. We're just figuring some things out. I hope you figure them out soon. You both look sad. That evening, Bethany found Wyatt in the barn tending a mare with a cut leg. She brought medical supplies and helped without being asked. They worked in comfortable silence, their movements synchronized like dancers. She'll heal fine, Wyatt said, stroking the horse's neck. Most wounds do, given proper care and time. He looked at her sharply. Are we still talking about the mare? I don't know. Are we? This time neither fled. Wyatt reached up and touched her cheek with work-roughened fingers. I never expected to feel this way again. After Emma died, I thought that part of my heart was buried with her. Maybe it was. Maybe this is a different part entirely. He leaned closer. Their lips met in a kiss gentle as morning rain. Bethany's world tilted on its axis. She had been kissed before, but never with such tenderness, never with such promise. They broke apart reluctantly. Reality crashed back like cold water. This complicates everything, she whispered. Only if we let it. The weeks that followed brought subtle changes. Stolen glances across the supper table, hands brushing as they passed papers, conversations that lasted long after Lila fell asleep. The neighboring families noticed the shift in dynamics. Sarah Morrison smiled knowingly when she saw Wyatt help Bethany down from the wagon. Jim Patterson nodded approvingly at how the three of them functioned as a natural at Iron Creek Ranch. But with growing recognition came growing scrutiny. Letters began arriving addressed to Bethany. She accepted them with visible anxiety, reading them privately in her cabin. Wyatt noticed her increasing nervousness but respected her privacy. Still, he sensed danger approaching like a storm on the horizon. One evening, Lila made a drawing of their family. 3 stick figures stood before a house, holding hands. She labeled them Daddy, Mama Bethany, and me. "Is this how you see us?" Bethany asked, her throat tight. "This is how we really are. We take care of each other. We love each other. That's what families do." That night, Wyatt found Bethany sitting on her cabin steps, staring at the stars. "Lila drew a picture today," she said without preamble. "I saw it. She hung it on the kitchen wall with great ceremony. She called me Mama Bethany. How do you feel about that?" Bethany was quiet for so long, Wyatt wondered if she would answer. When she spoke, her voice was barely audible. Terrified, honored, completely overwhelmed. "She loves you. We both do." The words hung in the night air like promises. Bethany wanted desperately to believe them, but the letters hidden in her cabin spoke of a different reality. Her past was closing in. Soon, she would have to choose between the family she had found and the safety they deserved. The decision might be taken from her entirely. Samuel Hutchins arrived in Dusty Creek on the morning stage, his black suit pressed and his silver watch chain gleaming. He cut an impressive figure as he stepped onto the wooden platform, surveying the dusty town with calculating eyes. The hotel clerk recognized quality when he saw it. This man had money and education. His leather boots were polished to a mirror shine. His handshake was firm and confident. "I'm seeking information about a woman who may have passed through recently." Bethany Mae Hawkins. She would be traveling alone, rather large. Likely story gained embellishments with each retelling. By evening, half the town believed Bethany was a dangerous criminal who had fooled them all. At Iron Creek Ranch, Bethany sensed the approaching storm. The latest letter had been more urgent than the others. Samuel was getting closer. Her hands shook as she tried to focus on evening lessons. "Miss Pretty, you look worried," Lila observed with the clarity only children possess. "Just tired, sweetheart. It's been a long day." But Wyatt noticed her distraction during supper. She barely touched her food. Her usual warmth seemed forced and brittle. "Is everything all right?" "Of course. Why wouldn't it be?" The lie sat heavy between them. Wyatt had learned to read her moods over the past months. Something had changed. Fear radiated from her like heat from a forge. That night, Bethany paced her cabin floor. She could pack quickly and leave before dawn, disappear again as she had from Missouri. It would break her heart, but it would protect Wyatt and Lila from the scandal approaching. She pulled out her worn satchel and began folding her few dresses. Each item carried memories now. The blue calico Lila had complimented, the brown wool she wore for Sunday dinners with the Graves family. A soft knock interrupted her packing. Wyatt stood in the doorway, his face grave. "Jim Patterson just rode in from town. There's a man there, asking questions about you." Bethany's shoulders sagged. "I know. Want to tell me what this is about?" She gestured to the letters scattered across her desk. "Samuel Hutchins, my late husband's brother. He's been hunting me for over a year." Wyatt stepped inside and closed the door. "Why?" "After Thomas died, Samuel tried to claim his property. Said as the eldest male relative, everything should go to him. When I refused and the law sided with me, he began flowing script, spoke of family duty and moral obligation. To casual readers, they would seem reasonable. What does he really want? Thomas left me a small inheritance, 40 acres in California and some savings. Not a fortune, but enough for independence. Samuel wants it all. Then we fight for it. We? Bethany looked at him with painful hope. This isn't your battle. It became my battle the moment I fell in love with you. The words hung in the air between them like a bridge across an impossible chasm. Neither had spoken so directly before. You can't love me. Look at the problems I bring. I love you because of who you are, not despite your troubles. Lila loves you. This ranch is your home now. Tears spilled down Bethany's cheeks. He'll destroy you too. Your reputation, your business, everything you've built. Let him try. A horse's hooves thundered up the drive. Through the window they saw Sheriff Morrison approaching with Samuel Hutchins and Jedediah Brown. Samuel sat tall in his saddle, every inch the righteous man seeking justice. His cold eyes fixed on Bethany's cabin like a hawk spotting prey. Too late to run now, Wyatt said grimly. I won't let him hurt you or Lila. We face this together, whatever comes. The riders dismounted. Samuel straightened his coat and checked his pocket watch with theatrical precision. He had waited months for this moment. The reckoning had arrived. Samuel Hutchins stepped onto the porch of the main house like a man claiming territory. Sheriff Morrison flanked his right side, hat in hand and clearly uncomfortable. Jedediah Brown stood to his left, arms crossed with smug satisfaction. Wyatt emerged from the cabin with Bethany close behind. Her face was pale but determined. She had spent months running from this moment. No more. Mr. Graves, I presume. Samuel's voice carried the authority educator this county has ever had. Pretty words won't change facts, Mr. Graves. She belongs in custody. Sheriff Morrison looked increasingly troubled. He had known Wyatt for years and respected his judgment, but the evidence Samuel presented seemed convincing. Ma'am, do you have anything to say about these accusations? Bethany's hands trembled as she reached into her cabin. When she emerged, she carried her own leather satchel, the one she had protected throughout her westward journey. I have documentation too, Sheriff. Samuel's confident expression flickered. More forgeries, no doubt. Legal documents from the Missouri probate court. Bethany's voice grew stronger with each word. My husband's will, properly witnessed and filed. Bank records showing legitimate withdrawals from accounts in my name. She spread the papers across the porch table with careful precision. Thomas left me his savings and 40 acres in California. Samuel contested the will and lost. These are the court's final rulings. Sheriff Morrison examined the documents closely. The official seals appeared genuine. The legal language was clear and binding. According to this, Mrs. Hawkins is the rightful heir to her husband's estate. Those are forgeries. Samuel's composure cracked. She's had months to manufacture false evidence. The California Land Office can verify the deed, Bethany said calmly. Telegraph them if you doubt its authenticity. A new voice cut through the tension. What's all this commotion about? Clementine Brown approached on foot, having left her horse at the gate. Behind her came Sarah Morrison, Jim Patterson, and several other ranch families. Word had spread quickly about the confrontation. These good people are defending a known thief, Samuel declared. She's deceived you all. The only deception I see, Sarah Morrison said firmly, is whatever lies you're telling about Miss Bethany. This woman taught my son to read Shakespeare. Jim. Raw anger in his voice revealed his true nature. Sheriff Morrison stepped back, his opinion clearly shifting. A small voice pierced the adult tension. Daddy? Lila stood in the doorway, having awakened from the commotion. Her auburn braids were mussed from sleep. She looked confused and frightened by the crowd of angry adults. "It's all right, sweetheart," Wyatt said gently. But Lila's attention fixed on Samuel's furious face. With the instinct of childhood, she sensed the threat he represented. She ran to Bethany and wrapped her arms around the woman's waist. "Don't let the mean man take Miss Pretty away." "Miss Pretty?" Samuel sneered. "Is that what they call you here?" "She is pretty," Lila declared with 8-year-old defiance. "And she's good. She teaches us and reads stories and makes cookies." "Lila," Bethany whispered, "go inside." "No! I won't let him hurt you." The child's fierce loyalty struck the assembled crowd like lightning. Here was pure truth, untainted by adult prejudices and complications. Clementine Brown stepped forward, her own transformation complete. "Sheriff Morrison, I've watched this woman for months. She's never shown anything but grace under pressure." "My husband may disagree," she continued, glancing at Jedediah, "but I know character when I see it. This man is the liar here." Samuel realized his carefully constructed narrative was collapsing. The community he expected to support him was turning against him instead. "You're all fools," he snarled. "She's made you believe her lies." "The only lies here are yours," Wyatt said quietly. Sheriff Morrison folded Samuel's documents and handed them back. "Mr. Hutchins, I think you'd better leave town." "This isn't over." "Yes, it is." Samuel mounted his horse with jerky, angry movements. His grand plan had failed completely. The woman he had "Bethany, I owe you an apology. My husband and I both. We judged you poorly from the start. You stood up for me when it mattered most. That's what I'll remember. You've got more grace than I deserve." Clementine's eyes filled with tears. "I hope you can forgive us." "There's nothing to forgive. People change. Communities grow. That's how it should be." After Clementine left, the three of them stood in the gathering twilight. Lila yawned against Bethany's side. "Time for bed, little one," Wyatt said. "Can Miss Pretty tuck me in?" "Of course she can." As they walked toward the house, Bethany felt something shift inside her chest. The constant fear she had carried for months was finally gone. Samuel could no longer hurt her. Her past could no longer destroy her future. But what future did she really have here? After Lila fell asleep, Bethany sat on the porch steps, staring at the stars. The evening air carried the scent of autumn and change. Soon, winter would come. Another season at Iron Creek Ranch. If she stayed. Footsteps approached from behind. Wyatt settled beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. "Penny for your thoughts. I keep thinking I should pinch myself. Make sure this is all real. It's real. You're safe. You're home." The word hung between them like a question waiting for an answer. Home. Such a simple concept, yet so elusive for most of her life. "I could claim my land in California now. Start fresh where nobody knows my history." Wyatt went very still beside her. "Is that what you want?" "I don't know what I want anymore. Everything I thought I knew about my life changed today. Not everything changed. Some things got stronger." She turned to look at him in the starlight. His weathered face showed traces of the fear he had hidden so well during the confrontation. The California land that represented her independence, her chance for a completely fresh start. But here, in this moment, she realized she had already found what she was really seeking. Not just safety or security, but belonging. Love. Family. "Yes," she said simply. "Yes," Yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I'll help raise Lila. Yes, I'll stay and build a life with you. His kiss tasted like forever. 3 months later, on a crisp December morning, Bethany May Hawkins became Bethany May Graves under the bare branches of the cottonwood tree beside Iron Creek. Lila served as flower girl, practically glowing with joy as she scattered rose petals. The wedding guests included all the ranch families and half the town of Dusty Creek. Even Jedediah Brown attended, looking sheepish but sincere in his congratulations. "Welcome to the family, daughter," he told Bethany after the ceremony. His wife Clementine beamed beside him. 6 months later, Bethany used part of her California inheritance to build the area's first proper schoolhouse. The sign above the door read, "Lila Graves Academy," in honor of the little girl who had seen beauty first. On opening day, children of all backgrounds filled the wooden desks. Ranch kids sat beside town children. Different colors and classes learned together under Bethany's patient guidance. Wyatt watched from the doorway as his wife conducted her first lesson in the new building. Lila sat in the front row, hand raised eagerly to answer every question. The woman who had once been mocked and humiliated now commanded respect throughout the county. Parents traveled from neighboring towns seeking admission for their children. But more than professional success, Bethany had found personal peace. She belonged somewhere. She was loved for exactly who she was. That evening, as she graded papers by lamplight, Wyatt approached with a cup of coffee and a gentle smile. "How does it feel to be the most celebrated teacher in Arizona territory?"